Welcome to Interviews, hosted by Randy Goodman, Harvey Callis Real Estate, your real estate professional. Get to know our community, our businesses, products, and services that will elevate your life. Please welcome your hostess, Randy Goodman.
Hey everybody, it's Randy Goodman here with Harvey Callis Real Estate, and I am excited to be talking to Kirsty Perring, who is the founder of Traversing Africa. Can't wait to hear all about it. Thank you, Kirsty, for being here with me.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, and I can't wait to hear all about it. So tell me all about Traversing Africa. What does that mean?
Okay, so Traversing Africa is a travel company, and I specialize in Africa, as the name suggests. The name of my company is a little bit of a play on my son's name. His name is Travis, and traversing obviously just means to travel or explore the globe. So as I'm sure you can hear from my accent, I am South African. And obviously very passionate about Africa and her wildlife and the communities there. So my main focus is selling customized trips to Africa, but I do other parts of the world as well. So I do Europe, South America, Asia, but sort of more focused on the unique destinations, more difficult to get to, those kind of places.
Okay, awesome. So would that include like safari trips and stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. Safaris is a big part of what I do and what I promote.
Okay, I love that. I love that. And I know lots of people love to go on those types of trips. So it's pretty awesome. But is this something you always did? Were you always into travel, Kirsty? Or what did you think you were going to be?
At school, I had a few different ideas. I was going to be a nurse, then I was going to be a lawyer. But straight after school, as a lot of people do, I sort of took a gap year and from South Africa headed to London, where I was a nanny for a couple of years and, you know, spent that time backpacking through Europe, as you do when you're a teenager. And I guess that's when the travel bug sort of bit. And after that, came back, studied travel and tourism, and launched straight into my career, you know, from the time I was 21. So I have been doing it for a long time, but in different roles and different capacities. So I've been sort of in a high street travel agent, you know, where you walk in the door and book a trip, to being more behind the scenes at a tour operator, where I put together the actual itineraries and brochures and that sort of thing. I've done training, I've done corporate travel, so a lot of different roles within the industry, which is constantly evolving. And yeah, about 18 months ago, I started my own company, purely because I wanted to promote Africa in a different way to people. I wanted to showcase it, that it is a friendly destination, because a lot of people are a bit nervous about taking kids to Africa. As I said, I've got a son and he's been going on safari since he was 2. So it's definitely, you know, a good place to take kids. And just to try and sell travel as more of a transformational experience for people, and just help people to be mindful of their carbon footprint. I try to partner with sort of other sustainable tourism partners. So yeah, it's pretty much what I've been doing my whole life.
Wow, I love that. So tell us a little bit about like who would be the right people to call you and work with you versus, say, another travel agent?
Sure. So, as I said, I love working with families. I do a lot of multi-generational family trips or groups of families who want to travel together. So I guess, you know, when you're traveling to Africa, it is a far way to go. It can be more higher end. So people who are looking possibly for exclusive use of a lodge, that kind of thing, and who have a bit more time to travel because, you know, as I say, it's far to go. It's not somewhere you're just going to go for a couple of days. You want to see and do as much as you can. So yeah, I love working with families. That said, I've done a lot of honeymoon trips as well. Africa is a great destination for honeymooners. So people combine a safari with a beach destination, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I like doing that as well. Yeah, and I guess people who are wanting to customize their own trip as opposed to just purchasing a cookie cutter trip out of a brochure, or, you know, it's very easy to go online and book a cruise for yourself. It's not that easy when it comes to putting together a trip around Africa. So I like, you know, to really be involved with people, find out what their interests are and match them to the right destinations and products as well.
I love that. So it's much more personalized and custom service, but that they're probably not going to miss anything either because you're so familiar, obviously. You know, you know exactly what you're talking about. You're not only from there, but you also have been doing this most of your working life. So you're very knowledgeable when it comes to this topic. And yeah, I think it would be a really good idea for people to reach out to you and, you know, have you help them book, because you'll make sure that they're not missing anything that they could be experiencing, right? Or getting connected to
Yeah,
the right
absolutely.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, so if people have a particular interest, say it's culinary type of things or, you know, photography, then I know who to partner with on the ground to make sure that they get the best experience. And I think that's a difference with me as well, is that I work directly with partners in Africa on the ground in each country. So I've built relationships up with those people and I trust them and I know that they're going to look after my clients from the moment they arrive. So it's really just a whole, you know, combined package of everything, as opposed to people having to piecemeal things all together themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's really great for your business because then people can really trust that they're going to have a good trip, especially when, you know, it might be a more costly trip than the average trip. And it's also far away to go, you know. So people might feel they're, you know, taking a chance or taking a risk, and at least they have somebody they can trust, you know, who knows the ins and the outs, but also knows the people over there because you go on safaris yourself, right? And
I'm struggling a little bit at the moment with the lack of safaris, but yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. So how has this been? I mean, we're in the middle of COVID right now. So, you know, in case people are watching this years from now, but tell us, how is this affecting your business?
Sure. So I'm sure, as you know, the travel industry has taken a huge knock. Pretty much all borders are closed for any non-essential travel. So yeah, it's been very challenging. But we are starting to see glimmers of hope. You know, we are starting to see that some countries are relaxing their lockdown enforcements. And what's sort of coming out in the industry at the moment is that the first step to getting back to normal will be that domestic travel will probably open up. A number of countries are looking at creating travel bubbles. So, for example, New Zealand and Australia are speaking about a travel bubble where their citizens would be able to move freely between the two. Right. Likewise, some Baltic countries in Europe are doing that. For us in Canada, it means that our bubble would potentially be with the United States, which at this point, I'm sure many Canadians don't want those borders open. But yeah, so it's definitely changed. And I think, you know, we have to look at the positives that are going to come out of that. And what it looks like is that there's just going to be a lot more hygiene when it comes to travel, which I don't think is a bad thing, that they're going to be deep cleaning aircraft and that sort of thing. Obviously, it's going to mean longer times for check-in and security, and people are going to be screened a lot more than before. Potentially, we're going to be having to wear masks on aircraft for a while coming. But at the same time, it does seem to have opened up this more possibility to people traveling more mindfully. People are looking at traveling to wide open spaces now, which I think is a good thing, because there's so many cities and areas that have become so overpopulated with tourists because of big cruise ships and things like that. So it does seem the world kind of has needed a break from that. And this is kind of just the catalyst that's sort of getting that going. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the industry are losing their jobs at the moment, and you know, hoteliers, lodges are, you know, they're completely shut. So it's going to be tough times. And I think, again, I'm seeing reports that some of Europe will open for summer travel. Again, I think that will be more limited to people from Schengen countries. But slowly and gradually it will come back. Travel has to come back. As I said, initially domestically, and I think people will also want to visit their family first and foremost, because that's been tough for a lot of people who travel for that reason. So yeah, it's interesting times, but it's also great to see the positivity, and so many of my partners are putting out great videos and training sessions, and, you know, armchair safaris and all these different things that you can do. And sort of one of the hashtags that is trending at the moment is dream now, travel later. So they're very much trying to keep the dream of travel alive. And yeah, I hope that by next year, things will be starting to look up again.
Absolutely. Yes. And we hope that, you know, people in the travel business can ride it out and be able to hold on until we've opened up again, because I know they're getting hit hard, really hard. Yeah. So, you know, along with many other businesses out there. So it's, you know, there's some good and some bad and some restructuring and some creativity happening. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, exactly. So I
think something else I've seen on a couple of,
sorry?
No, I was just going to say, I've seen on a couple of polls that people have done is, due to this, a lot more people have said they would be more likely to use a travel advisor going forward than they have in the past, just because, you know, of all the different terms and conditions, people who have booked trips on their own, who are now trying to get refunds from airlines, and tour operators are really realizing how difficult it can be. So I think people will kind of go back to having a trusted travel advisor, which is also a great thing.
Right, absolutely. So you also like to give back to society. Can you tell us a little bit about what's important to you and how you like to give back?
Yes, so as I mentioned, I'm very passionate about wildlife and the conservation of wildlife, particularly the rhinos. I'm sure you know that rhinos have been poached to the brink of extinction. Right. And so there's so many amazing conservation charities set up that do support wildlife and anti-poaching. So I've partnered with one called the Rhino Project, and basically what I do is, for anybody that I have going to Africa, I will donate a portion of my proceeds towards them, just in helping with conservation of rhinos. But in different countries I do different things. So in Cape Town I support a dance school. In Kenya I support a project that's called seed balls, and basically what it is, so for all my clients that go to Kenya, when they arrive, they get a little packet of seed balls, which is literally just a way of reforestation within Kenya, and they can go and throw these in certain areas, obviously not just anywhere willy-nilly, and that helps with, you know, replanting and regrowth. So a lot of things like that I try and do. In each country I've sort of selected a cause that speaks to my heart. And then just here within Toronto, again, I sort of host consumer evenings showcasing the plight of rhinos. I'm a Sunday school teacher, so I'm very involved at my church, which is also now online at the moment. So very interesting times for that. Yes. Yeah, but just, again, just encouraging people that when they travel, to do as much as they can for local communities that they visit. There's a great concept which is called Pack for a Purpose, and literally anybody can do it to any country that you're visiting. It's not specifically Africa related. And it just means that when you're traveling, find a little extra space in your suitcase to take some needed items. So it could be school supplies, it could be lightly used clothing or new clothing, or anything like that you can actually give to a local community. So I always try and encourage people to do that as well. But I do have links on my website to all of the causes that we support.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've been hearing about that for a few years now, like when we went to Dominican a few years ago, and, just packing and bringing some needed items. Like, you don't even realize how destitute some of the natives are on some of these islands and countries that we visit, and to just be mindful and maybe pack a few extra things, whatever they are. They could be, coloring for kids. It could be chalk for the road. It could be clothes for children or adults. It could be like literally anything, right? Just imagine that you didn't have anything. Like, what could you bring? Right? You can even run if you didn't have stuff of your own to give away, you could go run to the dollar store and grab some stuff, like there's there's so many
ways. What I do, I travel to Africa at least 3 times a year, and what I'll try and do is just either from the school moms or my local community is collect clothing for kids, and I'll take an extra suitcase and take that to a children's home in South Africa. And a lot of the times, if the airlines actually know that's what your extra baggage is for,
right,
they'll give you free allowance.
Really?
So it's really easy to do something like that.
Yeah, because I know they like to charge you for the extra baggage, but it's nice to know that there are some airlines that will allow you to bring it for free to help you with the cause of giving. So I love that. That's great. So how can people reach out to you?
Sure. So I'm pretty much on most social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. We've got a company page on Facebook, on Instagram. All of our Instagram photos are actually our own that we've taken on our travels and on our safaris. So feel free to follow there for some inspiration. So through the website as well, traversingafrica.com. My email's on there, my phone number's on there. I work from home, which is great because it hasn't been a major change for me in terms of COVID and that. So I'm pretty flexible, with my hours and going to see clients and meeting clients and things like that. So you can reach out in any of those ways.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And do you have any tips or suggestions for people right now? It could have to do with anything that's resonating with you.
I think one thing that I say quite often to people is, as I said, many people will come to me and say, I would love to go to Africa. It's on my bucket list, but I'm waiting for my kids to get older. And one of the things that I will always say is don't wait for your kids to get older. Take them, when they're young and impressionable, because it's such a joy to experience a trip like that with young kids. There's so many places that you can go where you can actually have a complete detox from technology. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no iPads, and you really get to bond as a family and enjoy things together. It just takes you back to sort of grassroots and nature. I encourage people to go as soon as they can to Africa. And I know that once they've been, they'll want to go back again. Africa gets under your skin. So, and there's so many amazing places to travel to. My sort of tip is don't wait. I know now you have to wait a little while, but as soon as you can travel again, sort of do that. And to not be afraid and, to look for adventure. We talk about African time, things working in African time, meaning, it's very slow. And, but yeah, it's totally worth it. So
Perfect.
yeah, travel as much as you can with your kids. That's my tip.
Good. Do you want to share with us the name and how you came up with the name of your company?
Sure. So my son's name is Travis, as I said. So we call him Trav, mostly for short. And then we just sort of came up with Traversing Africa, which became a little bit limiting when I'm selling the rest of the world. So it does make people think that's all I do. But we actually then sort of bought the URL. So we have Traversing Asia, Traversing South America, and Traversing Europe sort of under our umbrella, which we plan to branch out into more. And then we sort of were trying to come up with like an umbrella name, and it was quite difficult. So we kind of are at the moment actually just toying with Traversing Travel, which kind of encompasses that it is a travel company, because some people not know, and just that you can travel anywhere. So now with
traversing the world.
Well, we looked at that, and I don't know, it was kind of a long name, and so anyway, we'll launch that soon with sort of a new website showcasing other destinations.
All right. That's awesome.
Because at the moment our website just really does Africa and the Middle East.
Right. Okay, perfect. And before we sign off, do you want to just comment on what the future holds for the travel agencies?
Yeah, look, I think, as I said, people are going to come back to travel agents, travel advisors, because they, will see them as having the knowledge. It's not, there are a lot of people who maybe just become a travel agent, I'll get free trips. That's not what it's about. There's a lot of hard work and legal things that go into it. What's quite interesting and what's sort of been established in the last couple of years is that travel agents are starting to charge fees for consulting. And, there's sort of two trains of thought about that, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So the one is that people may not want to pay an upfront quoting fee. And then you might think, well, then that's not my type of client if they're not willing, to commit in that way. But I think because sort of in the past we used to rely a lot on commissions from airlines and things like that, we don't get paid those commissions anymore. So this is just a way of kind of, making some sort of an income. And it's, lawyers charge for their consulting, accountants do. It's no different really. And it's a sliding scale of how much you want to charge, but it's also really just a deposit. So it will go towards a future trip. It's not necessarily, but it just shows that your clients are committed, and that you obviously committed to working with them and, doing all the research for them. I think people realize that it does take a lot of time. Again, like I say, if you're booking a quick cruise or something like that, it's easy just to log on and do it yourself. But where you're going to multiple destinations, there's different flights involved. That's where we are the experts in working out, not necessarily what's the cheapest, because the cheapest isn't always the best. It comes with a lot of restrictions, but what is the most value for money, and what works for you. So, yeah, I think that travel agents will, come out of this strong. It's just going to take a little while, and
just got to plug through, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much, Kirsty, for sharing with us today. Please share your website one more time, and of course your contact info will be available on the page.
Okay, so it's traversingafrica.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks for having me, Randy.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to this interview hosted by Randy Goodman. We hope you will take action and connect with the incredible business people and leaders in our community. And remember, Randy is always here to answer any questions you have regarding your real estate needs. Be sure to register on the website and stay up to date on what's happening in your area at parkbench.com/millpond.